And clap.
I'm a little bit nervous.
Feeling nervous today, yeah? It's been a little while, a little longer than usual. It's understandable. But we'll open up nice and easy and ask you some questions to, just float into it nice and gently. Do you ever feel... Should I lie detector up? Do you ever feel intimidated by me being taller than you?
No, because you're not. We're actually like the exact same height.
Yeah, but I always have like kind of longer hair than you do, so
you look slightly.
Those extra few inches count.
So, nice. That's what she said.
Next question. Are you into nipple play?
No.
No? Okay. I was going to ask if you'd like to try it, but I guess...
I thought a joke was coming though.
No, I was just going to ask if you'd like to try it.
Can I tell a
I
joke?
thought you were going to say yes. You seem like a nipple play man.
No.
No.
Can I tell a joke?
Yeah, totally.
Why are Americans so good at Rubik's Cubes?
Why?
Because they're used to separating colours.
But to be good at a Rubik's Cube, you have to be able to bring the colours together.
No, because they're all mixed together, but you're separating them.
Oh yeah. I'm an idiot. Oh no, cut that.
And
that was me not getting the joke.
I'll say the joke I told you earlier, which is
yeah.
What did the what is it?
IT. An IT person.
What do you call
students,
what do you call an IT teacher that likes touching children? A PDFR.
And that is a joke you would definitely hear on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Opening up with some really dark shit. I just have one more question. Have you ever tried to stick it into a donut hole?
No.
No.
But that makes me question what I've just eaten.
Oh.
It was very creamy.
Yeah, you didn't.
Creamier than normal, and I thought they may have put like a bit of salted caramel or something in there because it was more like
bit of an extra glaze in there.
Yeah.
Salted caramel.
I mean, if it was going to be anything...
If someone told me it tasted like salted caramel, I'd be like, I guess that's a compliment, but I'm very surprised.
That'd be great.
I guess so,
People queuing at your door.
Offering it up all day. My goodness, absolutely filthy opening. What a great way to come back. Guys, welcome to welcome to Dillon and Sebastian of Simpsons podcast, a podcast where myself and Sebastian here are going to be doing for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Are we? Are we going up?
No, just kidding. It always ties to the episode.
A live podcast.
That'd be fun to do a live podcast. If you don't have enough episodes left to do, a new show every day in Edinburgh for the whole month.
Imagine.
We'd have to do older episodes, I guess, yeah.
Fucking hell, we'd be
battered.
Podded out.
Yeah. I'd be so stressed. I'd have so many to fucking edit.
People would be watching us every day, and then, like, as soon as we're done, we'd have to, like, watch Simpsons.
Yeah. And the Seb's classes. That'd be all go. Kind of fun, though.
Full-time job.
That'd be a fun month. I wouldn't mind that, but it's not actually happening. I'm sorry. That was a joke. But hey.
But if anyone from Edinburgh Fringe is listening, think about maybe doing, like, a podcast stage. And have, like, young professional podcasters.
I'm sure there's live podcasts at Edinburgh. There must be. There's everything at Edinburgh.
Well, think about Dillon and Sebastian of Simpsons podcast.
Yeah. Hit us up. Could be fun.
Underground.
Simpsons.
Soon to be overground.
Yeah. Soon to be overground. Although underground is more popular than overground from London, so.
Yeah, although, even though it's called the underground, most of the tubes in London are travelling overground.
That's true. I never even thought about that.
When you actually think about the whole system, the actual underground bit is only for like a bit of it.
Yeah, that's strange. Huh. We should talk to them about that.
Yeah.
The TFL.
It's a lie.
Take it up with them. Yeah. I've been lied to. All right, but yeah, let's jump on in. Today we are covering. I don't even know what the first word is. It's like Scottish. Like Ae Bonny Romance. This is the 8th episode of the 35th season, and let's just jump on in. We open up at the school. There's a sign saying congratulations on 10th place in the state spelling bee, but it's like all spelled wrong. Like 10th is like with an F. Spelling is spelled with an INK at the end, and B is spelled BEA. That was fun. The coach, they're in the gym, whatever you call that, PE class. The coach tells the boys he's gonna challenge their endurance by making them do social dancing, and then Nelson immediately puts on a mask because cooties isn't the hoax. They do the Texas two-step, He's demonstrating with another teacher. He's like, get really close, body to body, no daylight.
The Texas two-step has to be the most white dance ever.
100%.
So boring.
Oh my god, terrible. Yeah, just step, bow, change, back and forth.
Yeah.
On repeat.
I'm no dancer, but fucking hell.
Jesus, me neither. I hate dancing.
The Texas two-step is just boring.
I don't use the word hate lightly. I really do hate dancing.
Really?
I do not get the appeal of going onto an empty floor where there's music playing and just going, ow, woo, yeah baby.
Yourself.
I hate it.
It does depend.
It makes me cringe.
I'm not a big fan, but I understand it, like, in the sense of, like, if I'm at a gig or a festival and I'm kind of bopping and it gets a bit, like, dancey.
I always just feel cringy. I don't know. Is it something about like being a comedian or something? Am I too self-aware? Even being at a music gig and just like bopping my head, I'm like, who do I think I am? You know what I mean? It's just so not me.
Like one of my biggest worries in life is when I get married and have to do like the slow dance.
Oh god.
And like
awful.
The thing is, I don't currently drink. I'll probably drink again someday.
Yeah.
The issue is, my girlfriend is Muslim. So I don't think I'll be allowed to drink at my wedding.
Yes.
So I'm fucked.
You're gonna be dead sober.
I have to fucking pop some acid or something.
Yeah, I need to be absolutely polluted before I'm doing that slow dance.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm an Irish man, so I will be getting polluted at my wedding. That's without a doubt.
Yeah. I can't wait for your wedding. Man.
That will be fun.
Whenever it does happen, I hope in the next 10 years at least.
My wedding.
Yeah.
So far, so not good, but yeah.
But fucking hell, it's gonna be fun.
That will be a very fun night. That's for sure. I mean, all my family weddings have been
it'll be in
bonkers.
Ireland?
Yeah, I'd like for it to be. Obviously, it depends on who I end up marrying, but I would like for it to be in Ireland. Yeah, what a fun weekend that'd be, right? Yeah, I need to find a woman right now. Fucking hell.
Hey, sign up, ladies.
Yeah, please. Irish wedding. We can get divorced in the next year. It's fine. Yeah. We get divorced the next month. Yeah. It's all good. Sign that prenup and run away from me. I mean, the divorce is actually very common in my family, which worries me. Same. That I'll like just get married and get divorced. I feel almost like destined for it to happen.
It seems normal now.
It was very normal. Yeah, totally. I feel like I just seem like someone who will get divorced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you give me divorced dad
I was like,
you already seem like a divorced dad.
I know exactly what you mean. I can't even be offended. I just like I'm someone who falls in love very hard. Like I see myself falling in love really hard, getting married, and getting divorced like a few years later. When I realised I just like jumped way too quickly.
I reckon you're gonna get cheated on.
Oh, for fuck's sake! That's too much.
Let's revisit this when it happens.
No, man, I'm a cuckold.
Like the Simpsons predict everything. Seb predicts.
Seb says predictions. Yeah. That's a new segment. You can make a new horrible prediction about me every week. Dylan's gonna get arrested for tax evasion. All right. Anyway, Bart. They don't want to do the dancing. Bart runs to the nurse's office. We see the great signs throughout this episode. Another sign saying, "No nurse due to budget cuts. Please walk it off." He gives all the males in his class band-aids to block all girl contact. They put on the band-aids, and Milhouse just goes, "These band-aids smell like my Uncle Claude." They realize it's actually nicotine patches, and they all just start like busting out. They start running around the playground, and Milhouse is breaking the flagpole with his forehead, and Martin's just like furiously studying. This is Martin on nicotine patches is still regular Martin, just faster. We then cut to Bart and Skinner. Skinner says that he's no longer surprised by anything Bart does after he live streams his colonoscopy to the second graders. And Bart's like, "Well, Ralph did find that polyp. It was benign." He says that instead of detention, he's going to put him in with Willie. We then cut to Marge and Homer getting invited to a destination wedding in the Poconos, or as Homer calls them, forced vacations. I just love this whole narrative of Homer hating destination weddings. I feel like this would be me as well. If I'm an older man getting invited to weddings where I had to like book a flight, I'd be like, fuck 100%. You.
And the one thing, it's such a middle class thing, because it's like, you really, because to the average person, they can afford one holiday a year, right?
Yeah.
If they're lucky.
Very true.
It's like, so what? I have to spend all the money that I would have spent on a holiday just to come to your wedding.
Yeah. And spend time with people I don't want to spend time with.
Yeah.
All the stuff that Homer goes through in
I
this
fucking
episode.
hate that shit, man.
I hate the. I know it's never happened to me, but I hate the idea of it for sure.
But just don't expect me to come if you do. My
Oh, that being said, my hypothetical Irish wedding would be a destination wedding for you.
But it's easy to get to.
Easy to get to and cheap too.
Yeah.
So, it's not like a flight to Spain is different. Like, that's
my
expensive.
sister had to go to one in Portugal. I was like,
Yeah, it's mental. You had to buy an expensive hotel and everything. You had to buy them an expensive present.
usually
It's a lot.
it's quite expensive hotel as well because it will be like
Where they're staying.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental. So Homer goes on a long tangent about how destination weddings involve being stuck in a hotel for a weekend with a bunch of people you don't know or do know and hate. He hates that the drinks always have a coconut in it. You have to do pre-planned activities like a zip line. You're too fat to use, so they have to bring in a truck to help you down. And for the rest of the weekend, everyone calls you Johnny Zipline. This whole rant's happening as he's like doing stuff. Like he's shopping with Marge and still talking about it. At one point, they're having sex and he's still talking about it. Really fun little sequence. And despite this long tangent, Marge still decides to accept the invite. We didn't cut to Willie being outraged that Bart did this whole nickname patches thing to avoid dancing with females. He says that he shouldn't be afraid to fall for a lassie with sweet dimples. He just starts crying and he confesses to Bart that he loved a girl named Maisie, and he moved to America, which he calls the land of Barbenheimer and wrestling believers, to forget about her. Willie and Bart then start like throwing stuff in anger. There's a big montage of them bonding together. They throw gopher bait into Skinner's office and he gets attacked by gophers. They break toilets with hammers in a dump yard, and they ride the floor waxer through the foyer of the school. And the final bit is just them getting Krusty Burger in his lawnmower. I was thinking about this. It's definitely not legal to drive a lawnmower on like, a public street, right?
No,
I have seen this in Ireland many times.
yeah, but a lawless state.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, at least like the little
it's-
village where I'm from.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like it doesn't really count when you go to like little villages.
Yeah, like
My mates,
I've seen people drive a lawnmower into the fucking McDonald's drive-through.
that's amazing. My mate's dad, really rich, lives in Wales on his own.
Yeah.
Complete like remote countryside.
Wow.
Gets blackout drunk every day and just drives home.
That's
It's like
hilarious.
from the pub.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
But it's because it's like you're not really endangering anyone because there's no one around.
Yeah, that's true. And my granddad has this whole theory, and I'm sure that the police officers of Tralee County Kerry won't be listening to
Conspiracy
this,
theory.
so I think I'm fine. No, I wouldn't say conspiracy theory, just something that he's realised is he also is fond of drinking and driving. He's convinced that there's...
Good combo.
Yeah, apparently so. He's convinced there's no police officers around at 7 p.m.
You told me about it.
Yeah.
So it's a conspiracy theory.
I guess so. I don't know, maybe it's just like that hour, like, oh, they'll always stay around for like 6 p.m. because it seems like a time that they would be gone for dinner. But then, because of that, they will then actually leave at 7 p.m. to get dinner or whatever. I don't know why he thinks that, but he's never gotten caught, so maybe he's right.
It's interesting. Like, fair play to him. He's never been caught.
No, 76 years old.
We've just outed him to the police.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think the Tralee County Kerry police officers are listening to our podcast. I think we're good.
Yeah, the chief of police listens. He's our biggest fan.
Oh, Tralee County Kerry?
Yeah.
Fuck. Well,
No,
outed.
but I think that
Which granddad?
he is wrong.
Of course.
I don't think they all have this agreement where it's like, oh, it's 7 p.m. We're not going to do any.
Yeah.
We're not going to catch any criminals.
We headed a chippy.
Now. Yeah.
Won't catch any drunk drivers right now. Maybe it's an hour where they don't check it as much because 7's quite early for someone to be out drinking and driving. Because you think of someone drinking and driving, you think that happening at like 1
It
a.m.
happens late.
Yeah, exactly. What he'll do is he'll go out drinking like 2 or 3.
Do you know what? I prefer that.
Yeah.
I like to get home early.
And I obviously understand a 76-year-old man wanting to do that.
Yeah.
He'd want to be home. He's want to be out where like young people are out. He wants to get his drinks peacefully and
Like,
go
have
home.
you been to like a pub where it's like kind of got a local vibe to it, and you go in, you start drinking, and it's you see like a
gets
fair
rowdy.
few old people in there, and it's funny because like as soon as young people start coming in, they're just like, yep, all right, time to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
It's like that's their time, that's their like
Literally.
alarm clock saying it's time for me to go, and the young people start arriving.
You'll see it happening. There's like no discussion about it. It's like, we head off? Yeah. You know. It's very funny. But yeah, we then cut to the next day. Bart can't find Willie in the shack. Skinner says he's probably drunk in a ditch on the outskirts of town. He runs to the outskirts. We see a sign saying outskirts pointing towards it and inskirts pointing towards Springfield, which I found funny. And he finds a man wrapped in a blanket. We think it's Willie. He opens up and it's Homer. And Homer's still complaining about destination weddings.
Also, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
speaking of finding Willie, you better be careful, mate, because you might not be able to find Willie soon as well if you don't watch your weight.
You're saying I put on weight?
No, I'm joking.
I was like, holy shit.
If anything, you've lost weight, I think.
Oh, thanks. I suddenly got insecure. I got fucking buy dysmorphia for a second. I'm like, have I put on weight? But yeah, no, you're right. It's shrinking. I thought it would get bigger as you got older.
Yeah, that's what they always told me. Isn't it weird though that I've never noticed my penis grow? This is such a clip, right? No, but you know what I mean. I've never looked at it and been like, yeah, that's definitely bigger than last year.
I have.
I mean, I see it growing sometimes, but as in like overall in my
Sure?
life, it's never got bigger.
You're laughing so much right now because you know this is going to be an Instagram clip.
It's ridiculous.
You know I'm
It's
going to
ridiculous.
shame
You
you.
know what I mean? You don't notice it growing.
Yeah.
Even though it's got bigger since you were a kid, I hope. But it's, you know, you never like woke up and be like, it's bigger than it was before.
Should it get bigger after being a kid? No, of course. Yeah.
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 Right.
Absolutely. Just gonna Google very quickly what is a micro penis.
To tell me you know what I mean.
I
Like,
do.
you don't-
I feel like that's probably
assume
some.
everything.
I think that's probably some sort of male insecurity too, though. Is we wanted to get bigger, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's never big enough.
When
So my ex said anyway.
I was a kid, my childminder said, "This is a fucking. I shouldn't be saying this.
This is a revealing podcast. Yeah, I'm loving
This
it.
is digital footprint and
This is
whatnot.
loose.
But, when I was like really young, like 3 or 4, I was always fiddling. I was always fiddling.
With what?
My penis.
Okay,
I
yeah.
was always like putting my hand down my pants, like fucking. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Hey, yeah, because you don't even have like a libido then.
No,
You don't have a sexuality,
I just liked fiddling with it. She said to me some like old wives'
Wait, who's
tale.
she?
My childminder.
Oh, your childminder, yeah.
She was like, you know, the more you fiddle with it, the more likely it's gonna fall off. And that's
And she was right.
Fiddling with it, you know, and I haven't touched it to this day.
That could be a good.
It's very difficult in public.
That could be a stand-up bit. That's hilarious. I like that. But yeah, anyway, this is a mental podcast so far. Willie then FaceTimes Bart saying that he's in Edinburgh and he just gets like taken away, and Bart begs Marge and Homer to let him go to Scotland and save Willie. Marge confesses to Homer she's never seen this look in Bart's eyes before, not even when he begged for a neck tattoo of a rattlesnake with a hand grenade tail. So they decided to go to Edinburgh.
That do you know what? When they decided to go to Edinburgh instead, I was like, yes, like it makes the episode so much more interesting. 'Cause
Rather than
obviously, I was under the impression there was going to be 2 plots, but Edinburgh,
and them going to the Piccanos.
sneak
Yeah.
his way to Edinburgh somehow. But that made it. I was like, oh yeah, I'd much rather see all of them in Edinburgh than like the
Yeah, no, it's way more interesting, yeah. We cut them on the plane. The plane is just called Plane Spotting, which I thought was a fun, quick little gag. Great signs throughout the episode. They get there, and it turns out Willie is getting married. Homer's outraged to see welcome bags, scheduled events, and losers from home, and new people he already hates, and realizing it's a destination wedding. He looks at the schedule of events. It says, I had to write it all down, it was hilarious. Welcome cocktails, Scottish history brunch, a love hike from Moorland Heath to Heathland Moor, kilt fittings, a bachelor party with strippers, cake tasting, rehearsal dinner. And Homer just like runs up to Bart and is like, "What the hell? You promised me a kidnapping or a murder." And then Willie introduces them to Maisie and shows them a slideshow of how they met. Do you know who voiced Maisie?
Would I be able to guess?
A Scottish actress. She never has a Scottish accent in anything she does, but I'm sure you probably know she's Scottish.
Not sure.
Karen Gillan.
Oh, okay.
You know her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I imagine this is her real voice, or maybe an exaggerated Scottish accent. Definitely closer to real voice than like
stereotypical one. Like,
yeah. Well, I imagine closer to real voice than like she's usually American. It does an American accent very well, but yeah, I thought she was great in the episode. We see that Willie was working for Maisie's dad, sniffing out bottles for whiskey. Can you tell me who voiced Maisie's dad? Really? I knew it straight away.
Who?
David Tennant.
Oh man,
it was David Tennant. Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I thought it was just his own voice. Yeah. He says that he was the happiest mud smeller in the world, and that he planned to elope with Maisie, but she was a no-show for their boat. We find out that the family told her Willie was eaten by a sheep, and they get back in touch after the whole outburst Willie had earlier, and he was like, "Oh, she slid right into my DMs. We started sexing right away." He said when he came back, the family greeted him with open arms and an apology haggis, and the dad says he can't wait to shove his wonderful nose into bogs again and take their whiskey business back to the top. You whiskey man? That's a random question that popped in my head. Never like whiskey either.
Can't stand it.
And I hate it. Like, it going down my...
It burns.
Oh my god, it feels horrible.
Yeah, Mr. Burns.
Hey! Feels horrible, and the worst hangovers in my life I've had on whiskey. Oh my god, like hard to move hangovers, like just the weight on your head.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing about the process of drinking whiskey I enjoy.
I had an 80-year-old whiskey once.
Damn.
You think from like
I had an 80-year-old woman once.
Most whiskey connoisseurs haven't had an 80-year-old whiskey.
True.
But this was too old.
God.
Like it was someone's grandma's whiskey, and it tasted like a minty cough medicine. It was so old.
That's how I felt when I hooked up with an older lady. This is too old. It tastes like a minty cough medicine. Filthy episode. But you know what? It's a romance episode, so it kind of connects.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Homer is then outraged that the weird hookups are already starting, and we just cut over to Chalmers talking to lunch lady Doris. And he's like, "So, is there a lunch, Mr. Doris?" Then cut to Lisa touring Edinburgh on her own, which immediately popped. I know it's a cartoon. Immediately popped in my head like, you let your 8-year-old daughter go around Scotland on her own.
And then also she mentions she had a Scotch egg. I was like,
that was a weird. Yeah, those obviously aren't Scottish.
No, they're British.
Oh,
like,
British.
I don't know exactly where they're from. But they technically could be from Scotland.
Yeah.
But how can Lisa eat a Scotch egg?
Was there alcohol in it? It was actual Scotch in a Scotch egg.
Have you had a Scotch egg?
No.
Oh, you'd like them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, get them from the shop down the road.
Sure. Oh!
It's pork.
She's vegetarian.
Yeah.
Oh, there's pork in it.
Yeah. The outside bit is deep fried pork.
Oh, wow. They really did not know what they were talking about when they wrote that line.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. Because first they thought it was from Scotland, and then secondly they obviously didn't know there's meat in it. Because you're just...
But it could be from Scotland.
I didn't realise that.
But it's British. And,
but there's definitely meat in it.
Half of Scotland will hate that I've said that. They are British, so, you know...
But there's definitely meat in it, and Lisa ate it.
Meat,
they did not know what they were talking about when they said that. That's fascinating. Wow. But yeah, she's touring Edinburgh. She discovers the Fringe Festival is happening, a celebration of theatrical irony and self-awareness. And I had to write down the signs for the shows. That was hilarious. The shows are Eddie Izzard in Pants, musical, the play. Stephen Fry is Hugh Laurie. Wordle, a tragedy in 6 tries. The play that goes wrong goes wrong. Hamlet with real dogs. The Fourth Wall. Car Crash, a love story. 3 tall men eating cereal. She tries to get tickets at the booth, but it's actually a one-man show about a ticket booth. And he's like, if you want to buy a ticket... That was hilarious, yeah. It's like, if you want to buy a ticket for Ticket Boot, the Ticket Boot is over there. That was really funny. I am actually going to Edinburgh in August this year, so This is like preempting me, because I'm sure there's like loads of pretentious shit like that happening. You know, so I'm sure it's very accurate. And then hilarious line from Lisa, she just goes, "It's so clever without being good." That really feel like the writers just like talking about their disdain for theater festivals like that. I remember Mike Reese talking about a play he saw about The Simpsons. It's called Mr. Burns, a post-electric play, and I've read it. He was so excited and intrigued to see someone had written a whole show about their show, and he saw it, and it was just like the biggest wank fest he ever saw. And I read that in his book, being like, I have to read this play now, and he was not lying. Incredibly wanky.
Really?
Yeah, it was about... It's set in the apocalypse, and it's about these people, like, TV and all media is gone, but these people bond together and they're trying to remember their favorite shows, and they eventually realize that they all love The Simpsons, and they try to recreate the Sideshow Bob episode, the Cape Fear one, like the famous one. They try to recreate that episode from memory, which is a fun concept, but it just gets very wanky, and it's very about, like, oh, how media can bring us together, and just typical, like, play nonsense.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's a
mean?
shame.
Yeah, it had really interesting. It had so much potential, but it just got so bogged down and like trying to shove a message down your throat. You know what I mean? Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, we see that they. Homer's devastated that they do a hike. He's saying, "Why can't all hikes go down?" And Marge tells him to suck it up and do the cute activities. And we just get a montage of them doing all the cute activities. They go to a Haggett's cooking class. We see Lisa watching 3 tall men eating cereal. We see them getting the wedding cake. And this is at the bachelor party. A cake comes out. You think it's going to be a stripper. They cut it and it's just a sheep. Which I thought was the best part of this montage. We got the Lisa watching a show called The Fourth Wall. And it's literally just a fourth wall in front of the stage. You can't see anything. Hilarious. We then got to Bart confessing to Lisa that... he's upset with Willie getting married because hanging out with Willie was the first time that he didn't feel crazy, but now he's gone nuts for a woman whose family is clearly screwing him over. And then Lisa, a very sweet line, just says, when someone gets a chance to put an end to their loneliness, they gotta take it. Very, very sweet. Powerful, wasn't it? I was like, fucking hell, Jesus, Simpsons. She then urges Bart to be happy for his happiness. And we then cut to Marge, who's very drunk now, going to Maisie, and she's like, tell me more about your fairy tale romance. You're like 2 Shreks in a swamp. And she sees he's very envious of their romance as she watches Homer ordering a pizza at a wedding where there's food everywhere.
Yeah.
That was great. She says that they remind her when her and Homer first got together, but now they spend every evening doom scrolling their life away and watching a squirrel surf in the back of an alligator.
It's fucking sad because like a lot of couples,
dude, so
like
many.
This.
Yeah,
They just sit. And don't get me wrong, I don't think you should have to always be present and doing something. But it's the fact that like you both. What's the point? Of
they
being
seem
there?
miserable around each other.
Yeah, if you're just
just giving up.
All you're doing is watching TikTok.
Oh man,
and it's like. Read a fucking book.
Yeah, exactly.
You're both just like poisoning each other.
You're so miserable in your own presence. Like, it's very upsetting. I know plenty of couples in Ireland where it's just like, you guys are not happy. You guys are just together because you feel like you have to be because you have kids or whatever. It's like, no, you're doing your kids a favor.
Do that post the most on social media.
Oh my god, it's so true.
It's so true.
Oh dear God, yeah.
And my ex used to like shame me for not posting enough. And I'd be like, just if you don't want to be with me, just say that. Like,
oh my god, yeah. It's that's totally it though. It's like they feel like they have to validate their relationship because they don't actually feel like it's working in real life. Whereas the great relationships you see around never post.
Yeah,
never post with each other.
My current partner like hasn't said a word.
Yeah, that's probably because she's ashamed. But still.
Yeah. But it just goes to show like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does it matter what my online image is?
100%. Yeah, I was always shallow. I mean, the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that like social media is only the best bits of people's lives. Course, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's why you feel bad when you go on it too much because you're just seeing like you're just comparing it to your own life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with couples is they see, oh, so and so went on holiday. Like, why am I not on holiday right now?
I know. Yeah, totally. Even though they're probably posting once they've gotten back from the holiday.
Yeah. It's
crazy. Yeah. I mean, a great quote I saw recently is like really stuck with me since then. I saw it a couple of months ago and it's still stuck with me. Is don't compare people's outsides to your insides.
100%.
You know, right? Yeah, because people are just posting or just showing the best parts of them, and you're comparing that to, the hurt you feel inside. There's shit's going on in your head sometimes because we have off days and everything else. So, yeah, great quote.
So it makes me feel a lot better about my size.
Your size? Exactly. Don't compare people's outsides to the size of your penis.
Yeah.
I think I think that's what that quote means, actually.
Because when it's inside, as long as it's reaching a certain point, it doesn't matter what size it is.
Exactly. As long as it gets the job done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told. So.
People wouldn't think we're fucking
So self-conscious.
Yeah. This episode, these are all jokes, guys.
Well, of course we have small dicks. Why do you think we do a podcast?
Of course.
Like,
We have a podcast about the Simpsons. Of course we have small penises. We're obviously lacking somewhere.
that reminds me of that trend at the moment where it's like, we're such and such. Of course we. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
Like,
the meme.
we're,
Yeah.
We're podcasters. Of course we have a small penis.
Yeah, we're girls from the valleys. Of course we like margaritas.
Yeah,
Those memes, yeah. But yeah, Homer's outraged to hear Marge saying that. He's like, trashing our marriage is something that should only be done in the privacy of our home. He says this is the worst thing that's ever happened in this beheading room. We then cut to Willie telling Bart that he's got a very important role in the wedding, leading the dance. Just all these young women come out. They're like, ooh, a spiky American. And Bart gets so outraged that he throws the wedding cake in anger, like, out of the castle. And then Maisie just goes, now what will you shove in my gob? Willie tells him that he ruined his wedding. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, it's just like, well, something else.
Oh yeah, I guess that's what they were saying, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
I always just always like Scottish people are like stereotypically quite aggressive.
Yeah.
Like that is like a very Scottish husband thing to do. Is like grab a chunk of the wedding cake and just shove it down the wife's gob.
I hope not. It's pretty.
No, of course not. It's just a very stereotypical Scottish thing.
Yeah.
Like but yeah, Willie tells Bart that he ruined his wedding, and Maisie just goes, "That's the only friend you made in America." Aye. We then cut to the next morning.
But would you say Principal Skinner and Willie are friends?
We never really seen them being that buddy with each other.
No.
So not really, no. Even though they make sense because they're both lonely men who
Yeah.
live in the school. Well, they don't live in the school. Only Willie does. But they both spend a lot of time in the school. Yeah. Let's say with Chalmers, I guess. Chalmers seems like quite a lonely man, but him and Skinner never bond over
friends,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. But I guess it makes sense too because in real life, you wouldn't be close with people you work with in a school.
No.
You'd just be colleagues. Yeah. Because the next morning Homer tells Marge that he's still mad because everyone now thinks that Homer Simpson is vanilla in the sack. It echoes through all of Scotland. Vanilla in the sack, vanilla in the sack, vanilla in the sack. At the very end it just goes, bad at sex.
That ruined it.
I thought that was hilarious
That
because he didn't say that.
That ruined it though, because vanilla in the sack means that, and then it was like they were just pointing out what the joke meant.
Well, the reason why I thought it was funny was because he didn't say that. Like it made no sense that
Of
echo
course,
happened.
yeah.
That's why I thought it was funny. But fair enough. Yeah. Bart then overhears Maisie's parents saying that their plan is to buy their whiskey, to bring their whiskey business back up with Willie's nose, and they'll get Maisie a proper husband, like not some floor waxing puke mopper. They see that Bart's overheard all this, and they toss him into a cell. And we cut to the wedding. We see that Willie is standing there with his best rake. Rake is just his best man. So sad. Marge gets a message from Homer. It's a video of a gorilla riding a dolphin, and she sees it as them. And Marge's like, oh, they shouldn't be together, but they are. And she then runs to Homer. And Homer's like, did you get my video? I was like, oh, it was so unlikely, just like us. Like, that's why I sent it to you. And they said that they should have just pretended to, or Homer says they should have just pretended to go along with their destination wedding like he does with everything else in their marriage. And suggests doing it at St. Andrew's golf course. She's like, oh, you're so romantic. He's like, 4, play. Very good. Fun little reference for the fans too, in that the first night they hooked up was at a mini golf course.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
Yeah. So it's they're completing that arc by now hooking up with probably the best golf course in the world, at least the most famous one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. Bart then halts the wedding, and he also mentions during his speech that Maisie's surname is Boozemaker, so that was a funny detail. And he tells them that he tells Willie that they only want him for his nose, and David Tennant's character just goes on an outburst being like, well, we have to compete with these celebrity booze brands, your tall handsome Clooney's and this is getting terrible, my accent, and to your weird Danny DeVitos, there's no room for an entry-level scotch. And Maisie says that she loves Willie even if he never sniffs another bog for as long as he lives, and to prove it she breaks his nose. And Willie's like, oh, you do love me, I'll never smell nothing again. I know my accent may be terrible, but it's still better than Dan Castellaneta's.
Yeah.
And Bart tells Lisa that he now understands love. It was sweet, but also disgusting. Her breaking his nose
It
to
was a
prove.
bit gross.
Yeah, but like also sweet, and that like my way to prove that I want you. I don't just want you for your amazing bog sniffing abilities.
But smelling is quite a big pleasure in life.
For sure, yeah.
To not be able to smell again, sad.
Well, the Simpsons don't have nostrils, so they can't they can't smell anyway.
But they can because they do.
They obviously can, yeah. In the context of the cartoon, they can. And it just ends. The whole episode ends with a song. I had to look it up. It was by Dillon and Sebastian. Is the name of the.
I was
duo.
gonna mention to you if you knew this band.
I had to look it up. You know them?
They're a great band.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you only saying that because it's Sebastian?
No, I've been a big
That's good.
fan for ages.
Did you recognise them straight away?
And I was gonna say it's the kind of thing you'd like. I think.
I love
Yeah,
it.
straight away I'd recognise because his voice is.
Yeah, sure, pretty distinguishable.
But they're
makes
fun
sense.
fact,
Yeah, quirky.
I might be wrong, but I watched a documentary about them ages ago. I think that the whole band is autistic.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, wow, fascinating. I mean, makes sense. No. I mean, I love the song. Definitely include the audio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You see, I like this group. It's a very indie, kind of quirky.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, I listened to the song like 3 times over after watching the episode.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so catchy.
Oh, I've got some music to recommend you. But
Oh, please, yeah.
yeah,
Sounds great.
they're quite a big Glasgow band.
But that makes sense in the way they were using this episode. Yeah, of course. But yeah, great song. Nice way to conclude the episode for sure. And I just realised this is the second episode. Was it last season as well? The one where they're in Scotland, which
They
is also
were.
a Bart and Willie episode.
They were, yeah.
The last season, maybe it was
No,
season
I
33.
think it was the last season.
Maybe it was. Yeah, Boys in the Highland. 2 seasons in a row where they go to Scotland. Crazy. But yeah, that concludes the episode. After you, as always.
Yeah, great episode.
Really enjoyed it, yeah.
It's it was really exciting and refreshing as well to be in another environment.
Location,
It's not
yeah.
Springfield.
Totally.
It was nice that they kind of tied both plots into one as
Yeah.
well, because the story was so interesting that I feel like if there was a side plot, it wouldn't be as good because of this main story.
Yeah, you made a good point about how like
Yeah.
there is a side plot, but the side plot very clearly connects to the main plot.
Nice to see Willie again, like have a story because it gives him a bit of like a human.
I would say the most the
Character.
show ever has. Yeah,
and
for sure.
it was just a really exciting episode. It was one of them where I didn't ever. I was interested the whole time.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, me
like
too.
I was fully hooked on it.
Yeah.
Great moments. I don't know what else to say really. It was just a really solid episode.
Yeah,
I'd
all good
probably
fun.
I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I'm the exact same
it's
actually.
one of
Yeah.
the best so far. I
The
think.
season, you think? Yeah, it'd be up there for me too. Definitely. Yeah, I also gave it an 8. I said it was good fun. So I love Bart and Willie's relationship, and you just like love them like adding more humanity to
Yeah.
Willie was great, and just Willie and Bart getting along makes a lot of sense. But weirdly, they've only utilized that now. Yeah, great to see a Willie focused episode. I enjoyed the Marge and Homer subplot. I thought it managed to bring a new element to them having relationship troubles, because obviously we've seen it so many times, but I feel like this is a fresh version of that.
Yeah.
And I also just loved the whole thing of Homer hating destination weddings, so that was continuously bringing that back was really fun. I said the ending felt a little bit rushed. That would be my only
I know what you mean.
downfall, because there was so much going on. I felt like by the time they got to like 5 minutes left, they were like, "Oh crap, we need to wrap this up."
Yeah, because we didn't really get much of
The parents,
the villains.
Yeah. They very quickly come in towards. I would say it's like the last 3 or 4 minutes when it comes in, revealing that.
Yeah.
Although it was kind of obvious in the setup, because I was thinking like, oh, they
used to hate him, and
yeah, and that's why he moved to America, because they told and they lied to the daughter and said he'd ran away, and then he just accepted their apology. Like, how would you ever accept that apology?
Weird, right?
Yeah, what a horrible thing to do to someone. I loved David Tennant and Karen Gill. I thought they were both fantastic in the episode, and I love that the relationship remains at the end.
yeah,
Because I felt like what they were going to do was like, oh, they betrayed him. Oh, he's not going to marry her now. They're actually staying
That's a
married.
good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
she'll probably might move
I hope
to
so.
Springfield.
Yeah,
maybe?
I hope so. I mean, obviously Willie's going to still be in The Simpsons, so I would assume she'll move to
Yeah.
Springfield. I'm really like they seem to be doing a trend recently where they're like giving the characters who have always been shown as lonely, they're like giving them a relationship. It's really nice. Like Combo Guy is now married, Mo is engaged,
Yeah.
and Willie is married. That's like
the biggest losers.
The biggest losers, with the exception of Skinner.
Needs to be Barney next.
Barney next, yeah, Skinner. Although, honestly, I don't want Skinner to ever be with someone.
That would ruin it.
I prefer him being a hopeless romantic. But I like it for comic guy Mo and Willie. I think it's nice. Yeah. And it just adds an extra... It's something interesting and different to do with the characters, you know? Like, comic guy being an example, like we showed him being a lonely loser for so long. It's cool to now have him have this Asian wife who's very accepting of who he is, you know? It's a fun, different thing to do. The show's been going on for so long. It's like, why not mix things up? But yeah, wonderful. Really fun episode. Let's jump into the news then. Just one piece of news, but I thought it was a pretty fun one. When asked if he sees the show getting renewed past season 36, that's the only season that's been like officially picked up so far, the executive producer Al Jean says that he thinks it's very likely. And he said, with the help of our animators, we managed to get a full slate of shows together this year, which looked terrific. And even after having to take 4 months off with the strikes, I think the show is still fantastic. It's in great shape. I'm obviously biased, but I think the episodes we're working on right now for season 36 are great. It's definitely going to go to 800, and I would really hope 1,000. So, love hearing that, like, Al Jean's working on the show from day one. He's an older man. I think he's late 60s, early 70s, and he still just seems very passionate and just wanting the show to keep going, working hard on it, you know? Yeah, just love hearing that. Yeah, that he's not... You wouldn't blame him if he was jaded. So it's nice to hear that he's just still passionate and loves working on the show, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, great to hear. But yeah, let's jump into Seb's Classics.
Yes, so...
Oh, man.
Look at my notes.
Can you get...
I chose a good one.
More classic than this? Yeah.
It's a very classic.
Just amazing.
Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. Obviously a play on...
Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah.
Simpsons love Stanley Kubrick.
They love Stanley Kubrick, my god. Especially in the early seasons, there's so many references.
So yeah, this is a standout episode from the 5th season. Blends sharp satire with the series' trademark humour and heart.
Absolutely.
This episode, I won't get into the facts. I don't even... I was writing down facts like, it came out this date or whatever, but it's not too important. It came out in 1993.
93, well, okay. 31 years old.
And it delves into the impact of legalized gambling on the town of Springfield, offering a critique of both community and personal vices. The plot kicks off with Springfield facing a budget crisis, and Mayor Quimby has to propose legalized gambling as a solution. The new casino... Mr. Burns brings some changes into the town. Marge, who initially seems to oppose the idea, soon finds herself addicted to the slot machines, setting up one of the episode's central conflicts.
Marge never opposes the idea. She's for it straight away.
No. She's like...
There's that whole bit later on where Homer's like, I bet you feel bad now for thinking it was such a bad idea. And she's like, I never opposed it. And then he has that whole dream like, I have a photographic memory. And
maybe I'm saying this because Homer said that.
Yeah, I think so. She was always for it.
Okay.
Because that's the joke, because usually she would be against these harebrained ideas.
It's weird because I finished it again and I was just like, for some reason, thought Marge...
Yeah, Homer's line obviously. It is the usual go-to that
Marge wouldn't like it.
Yeah, that's kind of like the joke almost, and that like she's actually for it straight away and then ends up getting addicted to gambling. Yeah.
So yeah, Marge has a gambling addiction. It's funny, but also a bit of genuine concern
and tragic. Yeah.
A bit tragic. Which is also what makes this episode so good. Is like it's actually really serious.
Even though it's hilarious.
And it's also hilarious.
But it has a grounded thing happening at the same time, yeah. I love at the end when she finally agrees to give it up. And she's like, I gotta hire a professional. And Homer's like, no, it's too expensive. Just don't do it anymore.
And obviously, the subplot of the episode with Bart, with the treehouse,
so fun.
Is one of the most classic subplots.
It's so great.
Like,
I mean, I'm obsessed with the whole storyline of Mr. Burns turning into Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny because the obvious place where you would expect the episode to go is that Burns has huge success at his casino and he's like, living off his wealth and having a great time. But the incentive was just him becoming obsessed with microscopic germs. It's so random. That's what makes it hilarious. Random, it comes out of nowhere, but it's hilarious. And it just adds an extra like weird, fun element to the episode. It makes me laugh out loud every time when he makes that model airplane. He's like, it's the Spruce Goose. It's going to be able to fly from New York all the way to the Bengal coast or something in 17 minutes. And it's like, that's a very nice model, sir. Like, model? And then they're on the episode, he's like, oh, I'm sick of this casino. Let's go back to the plant. Quick, we'll use the spruce moose. And they're just like, but sir. He was like, hop in. Like, but sir. He just gets out a gun. Like, I said, hop in. That bit makes me laugh out loud every time.
But I think also
so good.
the whole thing with him being like a germaphobe and everything kind of shows how having all the money and power
can get to your head.
It can make you paranoid.
Yeah, for sure. There's obviously a deeper commentary going on there, but like they just make it purely funny. and it's so good.
So yeah, overall, it balances humor with seriousness. And the main plot, the subplot, are both great and memorable.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most classics.
It's so great. I mean, I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so rewatchable. It's like, it's one of those that if it came on TV, you'd be like, yes.
Oh yeah, totally. It's one of those. It's easy top 30 of the whole show for me, maybe even top 20. There's just I was thinking of, it reminded me of the Very Hungry Caterpillars from last season. How I was like praising how like there's so much going on in this episode, and somehow it doesn't feel, nothing feels rushed. Everything feels like it was given the right amount of time. And it's like, how did they? It almost feels longer. A longer episode, not in a bad way, just because there's so much happening. They fit so like no time is wasted in this episode, you know. I mean, there's definitely 3 plots going on, because you have the Homer Marge, the Homer Marge story, and the Mr. Bird stuff, and the Bart stuff. The Bart stuff is fantastic too. I love when he's on the phone in the kitchen and he's like, "Oh, I had to hire a new act. This Liza Minnelli impersonator is actually Liza Minnelli." It's like a success immediately, because the guy at the casino like kicks Bart out for being too young. It's like, oh, what are you going to do about it? You're going to make a casino in your treehouse, invite all your friends? It's like, oh, maybe I will, just because him actually doing it. And it's just, the usher is there for some reason. He's like, oh, he sure showed me. Another bit that always makes me laugh as well is they pick up Robert Goulet from the airport, who voices himself this episode, was a real, like, he's dead now, but he used to be, like, a big, like, lounge singer for casinos and stuff like that. Obviously mainly in Vegas. But a bit that always makes me laugh is he takes him to the treehouse, and Goulet's like, I might have the wrong casino. I'm going to call my manager. Nelson slings down and is like, your manager says to shut up. Like, Vera said that? The really upset way that he says it is so good. Vera said that?
Yeah.
I love it so much. I mean, there's so many good guys. I won't manage to get to them all, because there's just so many floating around my head right now.
9.5.
10 out of 10.
Fair.
No, 10 out of 10. Has to be for me. Has to be for me.
It's hard for me to give a straight 10.
I couldn't say anything I don't like about this episode. It's funny. It has some more dramatic stuff going on, like you mentioned, just to add a little bit more of humanity to it. But it's never forced. It's there like the right amount, but it's just mainly hilarious. Just seeing Springfielders doing casinos is funny, because it's a perfect scenario, because they're also just flawed people, so of course they would get into gambling. I love this as well, where Krusty's doing like a stand-up show, and it's just terrible. He's bombing, and he's just talking about herpes. He's like, oh, the spot on Gorbachev's head, that's herpes. And like, no one's laughing. It's like, oh, I'm just going to stand here angry for 90 minutes. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, he sits down in the feet. That bit's great. I mean, I won't manage to get to them all, because there's just too freaking many. Yeah. When Mr. Burns is like, we need to give this a really catchy title. It really grabs you straight away. Just cuts to, it's just called Burns Casino. That's a really catchy title in his head. There's just so many great bits. Such a wonderful, it just makes me happy, this episode. Throughout, like, it never skips a beat. The whole stuff with Homer helping Lisa make the diorama for Florida, because Marge can't do it because she's gotten obsessed with gambling, is brilliant. When she starts crying because his Florida is absolutely terrible. She's like, I'm not Florida, I'm a monster. It's like, no, you're not a monster, Lisa. The real monster is the monster that got Marge mom into gambling. I call him Gambler. We must put a stop to him. Just great quotes throughout. As well as, again, a perfect showcase of like how much the house falls apart without Marge. You know, being on the button. Lisa comes in and says she had a nightmare about the boogeyman. Oh, the boogeyman! Just starts locking up the whole house. And then Marge comes home and they see that they've just like, they're hiding out in Homer's room. They're like using the mattress as a shield. And he has a shotgun. So good. He comes to the bar as well, being like, I don't mean to scare you, but there might be a boogeyman in the house, or maybe even boogeymen. It's just so brilliant. They just managed to pack so much in the episode. I think somehow this episode actually manages to do showcasing how horrible the house is and how well ran the house is with Marge better than Homer alone. Do that one from season 3.
Oh yeah.
Because in this episode you had the whole family together and you see how much they struggled without Marge. Whereas in Homer alone you had Bart and Lisa go to Patty and Selma.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
So they really showcase it brilliantly here because they're all in the house together and the place is just falling apart.
Yeah.
Because Marge is just at the slot machines. A little bit as well where Barney is like, oh jeez, like watching Marge at slot machines, like, oh she's addicted, and just starts like downing all these cups. He thinks his beer was actually just like someone's quarters, and he starts burping out the quarters, and everyone's like, whoa, this guy's giving up, and they're just taking all the money off him. So good. Oh, we also have to mention one of the biggest predictions the show's ever made is those guys. I think their names were Ernst and Gunther. The guys doing the acts with the tiger.
Oh yeah.
They're a parody of Siegfried and Roy, and you know the bit where the tiger attacks them. That actually happened like years later. Their tiger attacked them. Yeah, that's like one of the biggest like examples of.
It's one of those things though where like it could have easily happened.
Of course, yeah.
Anyway.
Of course it could easily happen, and that's why they made the joke about it. It's like you're going up on stage in Vegas every night with a tiger who's like not in a cage or like. You know,
something's bound to happen eventually.
Yeah. You make a wrong move, and that tiger's gonna attack you.
Yeah,
but yeah. They really did get attacked, and realize it's crazy. Very interesting that happened. But yeah, I have 0 critiques. I think it's probably my second favorite episode of the 5th season. I mean, there's so many great episodes, obviously. Yeah. Homer Goes to College is my favorite. Actually, no, Cape Fear is my second favorite, but I think Springfield would be my third. It's just so good. Yeah, just amazing. But yeah, let's jump into Keep It Short. Which seems to be a topic in this episode. Yeah. Keeping things short. Yeah. So this is the segment where I cover all of the Tracy Ullman Show shorts. This week we are on Making Faces. Did you watch this one?
I did.
You did, yeah. Pretty fun one. I enjoyed it.
It's actually one of the better ones.
There's the animation because none of these shorts are well written. I think so far, anyway. But where they can stand out is how different the animation is to the regular Simpsons, and they really went ham with it in this one. Like, just stuff that would never happen in the show. With Bart and Lisa trying to make the ugliest face possible, and Maggie joins in, and the faces are horrific. And then Marge tells them that if they keep doing it, they'll freeze that way and be stuck with a horrible face forever, which is totally things that your parents would say when you were younger. I mean, you already mentioned how your childminder said it would eventually fall off or something. Yeah, it's such a freaking thing that adults say. That's which is crazy, actually, when you think about that. Like, I would never say that to a kid. That's horrible. It's such a blatant lie. And one of my ex-girlfriends told me that their mom told her that if you eat the skin of a banana peel, you die. She's like, why would you tell your child that?
One thing I do know is that if you dry it on the radiator and then eat it, you get high.
A banana
peel, yeah.
That's fascinating. Well, for any stoners listening, I'm sure plenty of stoners listen.
There you go.
That is if you're low on funds, heat a banana.
Or if you want to really hallucinate, get a tub of nutmeg and down it.
Down a tub of nutmeg. Can't be nice though.
It's disgusting.
But it'll get you high.
Disgusting.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, they agree that it's unlike Marge to. They agree that it's very like Marge to lie, and that she probably doesn't mean that, which I thought was interesting. Again, just them not like having known the characters yet. Marge would never lie now. She would never, not even to her kids. Yeah, but they go back to Making Faces and they start giving them names. Lisa does the howler monkey. It's just like a horrific looking monkey.
I've seen that picture of that.
Oh really? It's probably a meme. Yeah, it makes sense to be a meme. Yeah, a horrific animation, like very very fun. And Bart does that and just like turns his face into Homer, which I thought was great. But then Marge runs in and makes the scariest face, and they all run away. And she then tells them that their faces are now actually frozen and that they're stuck in those ugly faces now. And she's like, oh my god, she's serious? And they run, they check the mirror, and they just scream. And they're like, we're doomed! They look the same. I think it's just a joke that they already look so horrid. You know?
I guess, yeah.
Because they don't anymore, because since they changed the style, the Simpsons now look cute, but like in this style, they do look horrid. Yeah, they do look very scary, for sure. And yeah, that concludes that short. I thought it was a pretty fun one. One of the best so far, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, and let's jump into the old recommendations then. Recommendation of the week.
Yes.
Well, rock, paper, scissors. Oh, I'm sorry. You've won a few, though. I've been listening over them recently. You've won like
That's it now for a month.
Yeah, I guess so. My first recommendation is John Mulaney's show on Netflix. Everybody's in LA.
Oh yeah,
you've heard of this? Yeah, it's just a 6-part long series that he did during the Netflix is a Joke festival in LA, and it's so freaking weird, but it's just so John Mulaney in the best way possible. And he did them all live, so it's like not edited, which is quite fun. That's so cool. Like there's like mistakes happening in it, and they keep those in. It's very enjoyable. But the whole concept, it's kind of like a talk show. It's very weird. I don't know how he came up with this. He probably came up with it while he was on coke. It's a talk show. Like it's that same format. Like he opens up with a monologue and he brings on the guests. But it's a talk show about LA and like what a weird place LA is, and they cover different topics in every episode. Like one episode's about coyotes, one episode's about helicopters, another episode is about earthquakes, just like all topical things that happen in LA. And he brings on guests who live there, some being comedians, some being like people who work in areas specific to the topic. So like they did one on earthquakes, and one of the guests was like a woman who like is like an earthquake expert and like tries to predict them before they happen so that people can very, very interesting show. It's good fun. I love John Mulaney so much. He's a fantastic host. I wouldn't be surprised that maybe, little theory here, maybe this show was like a tester to see if he could potentially host his own talk show for Netflix. Him as a talk show host just makes perfect sense.
He would be really good.
I think would be great. Yeah. Just really fun, very weird out there show. I mean, there's truly nothing
clearly knows
like
his way
it.
around talk show.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's just a naturally very funny guy.
Yeah.
But they also take phone calls on the show, which is very fun.
That's cool.
They call him and like just talk about again the topic. But sometimes they're just like really, really weird guests. Just the way John handles them is very funny. Just a really, really fun. They're truly, and I've seen nothing else like it. It's just so out there and strange. You can tell it's really a showcase of like somebody who's at the peak of their powers.
100%.
And like Netflix totally trusts him. He got to do exactly what he wanted to do. You can tell they gave him no notes. He just got to do the show, and it relishes because of that.
That's cool. That's
really cool. Highly recommend. Very, very fun show. And only 6 episodes, so you'll fly through it. Yeah,
you have to watch that.
I highly recommend for sure. I know you like John Mulaney, so definitely worth the watch. Yeah, what's your first rec?
My recommendation of the week. I love like people on YouTube like going to like places in the world and vlogging it. Right?
Yes, you've recommended a lot of people like this.
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Kind of videos,
especially when it's places that people don't usually go to or they don't showcase.
And when it's people that are like unique and like have their own views on everything, because some people like it's easy to just stick up a camera and be like, oh, this is this place.
Oh my god, it's so sunny.
When the person's actually excited to be there and experience it,
and they can really
and go to places that you wouldn't normally go to. It's more fun,
and they can really intellectualize it and stuff.
So I've recommended a few before, but I'm going to recommend a guy that's a lot more fun than most I watch. Called Small Brained American.
Okay, on YouTube.
On YouTube, and he knows Japanese, so because he was a teacher there for a while. So he goes to Japan a lot, and like it makes it easier because he can talk to people. But he also goes to a lot more like fringy places as well. And he kind of makes a joke out of sometimes how shit places can be, not in like a rude way, just in like a. He's basically saying what we're all thinking.
Nice.
So like he'll be walking around China and like. To be honest, China eats some weird ass food.
Oh yeah,
The Chinese takeaways here are not what they eat in China. And he's like he just sort of shows us like the truth of the world, but in like a funny way. And he's just a really fun guy. He did a video recently in London. Actually, he did the Weatherspoons challenge, which is you have to drink. I think it's like 16. You have to have 16 drinks, but you go basically to every Weatherspoons in central London.
Is it only 16? I would have thought there was more.
I don't know if there's more, but it's
the challenge is 16.
It's them specific ones. You have to get a drink in each
Right. I'll check out that one. That sounds fun.
He's just a really unique guy in his experiences in life, and like his take on things as well is very funny.
That sounds great. When you're fucking 10 pints deep into Weatherspoons, you must feel like shit. Especially a Weatherspoons.
But the thing is, what makes it interesting is so many Americans go to places with no education on it. Like a lot of Americans would come to the UK and be like, oh, a pub, that's a pub, they wouldn't even know it's a Wetherspoons.
That's true.
But he's aware the whole time that Wetherspoons is a bit of a joke.
Yeah,
in terms of pubs, like he's like, we came to fucking London, we're going to Wetherspoons. Like,
it's so weird. Wetherspoons is a joke. It's like Wetherspoons kind of prides themselves on being a joke. They seem pretty aware of it,
I really like Wetherspoons.
Oh yeah, me too. You get a cheap fucking decent beer.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. Yeah,
the only
absolutely.
thing you can go wrong is the fact that you don't have music. That's it.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is pubs, especially in London, seem to have a habit of playing music
too loud. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I didn't come to a fucking club. I came to the pub
to talk to my
have a
friends.
Conversation and a drink.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's one thing. At least you're going to Wetherspoons. You can definitely hear your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. Cheap beer. You can't go wrong.
Food, you can't go wrong.
The food is underrated.
It's good and it's cheap.
It's cheap. Yeah. That's the main thing, that it's cheap, and
you can't go wrong.
It's honestly a little bit better than you pay for.
Yeah,
which you can't say for most places in London.
It's solid food.
Yeah, it's fine. With a beer, if you're a bit drunk, it's perfect for a bit of soakage. Yeah, it's ideal. And
don't knock Wetherspoons.
Yeah, and you also you set the bar so low going to Wetherspoons that you can never not have a good time because you weren't expecting much.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty ideal.
Some of them are beautiful as well. And one thing
there's some nice ones. Yeah.
One thing I respect about Wetherspoons is they take buildings that would probably go derelict and turn them into like old theatres and stuff. Mm-hmm. And if no one else is buying them, they buy it.
That's why they always look so fucking nice. Yeah, it's because they're like, they used to be theatres. It's something way fancier than Wetherspoons, basically. So true. But yeah, that's a very interesting recommendation. I'll definitely check that guy out. I mean, my recommendation is like, it maybe doesn't need one because it's a very popular show, but I finished the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and
oh man,
I can't. I thought, have you seen it?
Yeah, I
the final season.
No, actually, but I recommended it before. I think.
Did you? I mean, I know you talked about it. Yeah, I wasn't sure it was a recommendation. Yeah. Now that I have seen the whole show, it's just like, it's flawless. It's 12 seasons of perfection. Like, really I love every single episode, and the last episode is perfect. It's just like Larry David at his finest. He really threw in everything that he had left because he knew it was going to be the last one. It's an hour long too, which I think every last episode of a show should be an hour long, just to really wrap everything up. It's something so really relaxing about Curb, because the things they concern themselves with are so insignificant, which just makes it like a really relaxing thing to watch. You know, he's just like going to a country club and like just like overthinking like his golf swing, and like that becomes the plot of the whole episode. You know, it's just stupid shit like that, and we just get so fixated on it. Like, Larry David, the character, is like one of my favorite fictional characters ever. He's just amazing. So yeah, such a great show. I couldn't recommend Curb enough. It is just like
such a good casual show as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can just flick it on. You can be in the middle of an episode on TV and still have a great time for the last 15 minutes. You know, it's throwaway in the best way. You know what I mean? Like, it's golden throwaway. It's just so good. I mean, officially, I mean, I'm very upset it's over, but I think he has ended it at a good time too. Especially with Richard Lewis now being dead, one of the main characters on the show. But yeah, it's 12 seasons, 120 episodes of there's literally not a bad episode. No, just so good. Perfection. I love Larry David so much. What a genius. In unpopular opinion, I actually prefer Curb to Seinfeld.
I was going to say this. Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I love Seinfeld. I only finished Seinfeld recently. I think it's easily one of the best sitcoms of all time. It's brilliant. And Larry's genius definitely shows in the writing of that show. You can see how that transferred over to...
I think it's just more our kind of humour.
Yeah, it's a bit more goofy, and it doesn't fall because HBO gives them more freedom than like an NBC sitcom would have given them. It's just looser, you know. I still love Seinfeld, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. You can definitely see, similarly to the way you can with Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, because the first thing Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David did together that blew up was Seinfeld, but then everything they did after that was separately. You can really see what bits of Seinfeld was Larry and what bits were Jerry. True. You know, so true, it's very, very clear. Yeah, all like the observational, like people getting fixated on really stupid things. That's all Larry David. Yeah. Whereas like the wackier, more out there stuff is Jerry. It's like the opposite of what you'd expect.
You wouldn't expect,
you know.
Yeah.
Similarly, Ricky Gervais and Steve Merchant, I would have thought Ricky was the cringe comedy guy,
but it turns out he's the serious.
He's the more serious guy, yeah, because the stuff he's made after those shows without Steven, like Afterlife, is more serious, whereas the stuff Steven's made on his own, like Hello Ladies, is like just pure cringe. Yeah, you know. So it's the whole Steve Merchant. Yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting seeing those parallels. But yeah, any final recommendation?
Yeah, I'd recommend something I watched recently rewatched is Avatar, but the series.
Nickelodeon show, yeah. Not the.
Did you ever watch that?
James Cameron films. I haven't, but it's been recommended to me. I feel like it's getting more and more popular.
I think people are revisiting it because it's just held up so well.
Yeah, and it's on Netflix now as well. I think they're doing like a live action show. Yeah.
But I think it's an amazing show, and it's such an interesting concept as well. And it's if no one's watched it before, like, I would really recommend it. It's just a really solid cartoon for kids and adults.
So I hear,
yeah, so good.
Very interesting how you can make a show that's like made for kids and like it's written to be, you know, kid friendly, but still very popular with adults. And there's obviously still enough going on there that like an adult audience don't even have kids can enjoy it. You know, I hear the Legend of Korra would be even better.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen Legend of Korra yet. From what I've heard, it just builds and encapsulates on what made the original show so good. Yeah, I must get to it. It's definitely a whole thing. The whole arc of it really fascinates me, and just the fandom behind it means it's obviously a great show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely really interested in it. Cool. All right, let's jump into the questions then. Wrap it up. So 2 questions this week. 2 pretty fun ones. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. Madamdo Wone. Sorry, man.
What? Mamado
Wone. Maybe I was about to say maybe it's not a real name, but if that is his real name, that's very offensive.
What kind of name is that?
I mean, we should be very appreciative towards this guy because neither of us know him, but he's not a Simpsons fan page. That's pretty rare, so I'm going to be grateful for this guy.
We have to be grateful for this
guy. He's just a normal guy who I assume this is a podcast.
Real life loser.
A real life loser. Shishing on our first real fan. No, thank you, Mamado. We're just kidding. But obviously, like the Simpsons, so you have a sense of humor, I'm sure. I think we may have
Mama do what?
Mama do a lot. Your mama does anyway.
Oh.
I'm sure he gets this all the time. But I think we may have answered this question before, but we will, of course, honor your question. Favorite modern Simpsons episode? Tricky one, eh? Will I go first?
Yeah.
I have a top 3, because I had time to think about this. I didn't want to just say like episodes I've already said. So like top 3 at the top of my head. Number 3, Barthood, which is in season 27, 28, and it's like a parody of Boyhood, but like showing Bart growing up. That episode's fantastic. Really like goes into his relationship with Grandpa in like a really nice, heartbreaking way. And with Homer as well. One thing I love about Bart and Grandpa's relationship, they don't go into it that much. When they do, one thing I love about it is like it feels like they're both getting from each other what they don't get from Homer.
True.
Which is so sad, but like that seems to be what's going on, you know. So that'd be number 3. This is at the top of my head. There's so many great episodes. It's just the ones that came to my head immediately. Was Barthood number 3. Number 2, the Treehouse of Horror from last season.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. You can't not say it.
It's almost a perfect episode.
It's one of my favorite episodes of the whole show.
Yeah. It's
not just modern seasons.
And it's one of the best Treehouse of Horrors.
Absolutely.
As well. That says enough.
I remember in that podcast I said I think it's definitely my top 10 favorite Treehouse of Horrors. The more I think about it, I think it's actually probably my top 5.
Oh, same.
I think it really is so that good. It's so good. And number 1 would be the one I mentioned many times, The Road to Cincinnati, which is the road trip episode with Skinner and Chalmers, where there's no family in it. That one's so good. I couldn't recommend it enough. It's just a prime example of like what makes the later seasons so good and interesting is that they experiment and do really different things. And that's a prime example because you have an episode where you have 2 side characters as the main characters, and like Bart, Homer, Marge, Lisa aren't in it. And I just love Skinner so much, obviously, and I love his dynamic with Chalmers, and they just build on that so brilliantly in that episode. They don't miss anything that you would like to have seen in a Skinner and Chalmers episode. Like everything that should have happened happens in that episode. It's 100%. Just so good, yeah. Those are the top 3 for me for sure.
Nice.
At the top of my head, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any Treehouse of Horror?
The Treehouse of Horror one would be my favorite.
Yeah. Any episode you'd have to throw in just to an honorable mention? I remember you liked Many Saints of Springfield a lot.
That was good.
I remember you liked The Last Bar Fighter a lot.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
There's so many. I loved the Very Hungry Caterpillars also.
I was going to mention
that one's up there.
I think to a neutral fan that'd be a great one.
It's a great intro, yeah. It's a different one, but still like kind of has a classic Simpsons vibe going on as well. It's all set in the house, like really really good. And our final question weirdly does come from a fan page, but is not a Simpsons question.
Okay.
Mosub Sizzle is his name, and he just does like Simpsons stickers. Very fun arts and animations that he does. But he asked worst movie you've ever seen. Fun final question to close it off.
I would say Food Fight.
Oh yeah,
but
I haven't seen it, but I'm aware.
I love it because it's so bad.
Sure.
But the worst movie I've seen in terms of disappointment.
Okay.
One of them is one we saw together, which is Crimes of the Future.
Yeah, that was a letdown for sure. That was my first Cronenberg.
Yeah.
And I know that's definitely a bad intro.
Film, so I had high expectations.
Yeah, that was weak, yeah.
But recently, one of the worst films I've seen, and I went to cinema to see it, was called Memoria.
I haven't even heard of this.
Memoria.
Yeah. I haven't heard of this film.
It has, what's her face? Tall, skinny British actress.
Tilda Swinton?
Yes.
Oh.
She's in it. It's a very indie film.
A24?
I don't even think so.
Probably not, because they're pretty consistent.
It really, like, I like these tones of films that like challenge you.
Wait, is that the one where she plays like 10 different people?
No.
Oh, I think it's something else then, okay.
But
I think it's Suspiria.
This film was, honestly, like, all respect, I understand what they were trying to do, but it was fucking awful. It really didn't pay off.
Damn.
It was so boring. Like, literally, one scene would be like just 20 minutes of like nothing. You'd just be sitting there like listening to the fucking ambience.
Right.
It was
one of those movies where it's just like trying to be out there, but as a result just being dull because some like tropes and cliches and just like storytelling methods do exist for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I can't stand. I'm thinking more and more recently are like people trying to stand up for the first time, and they're doing this thing where it's like, I'm gonna do the opposite of stand up. I was like, okay, you can do that, but it just won't be funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what happens every time, you know? But yeah, interesting. Yeah, see, I wouldn't say a movie like Food Fight. I haven't seen Food Fight, but like, if the movie's bad but I've had fun with it, it's like, well,
that's the thing.
That's fine. Yeah, like, I saw The Strangers recently, like the new one, and it wasn't a great film, but it's just like a fun, shitty slasher horror movie. I just had fun with it because it does all the classic tropes in no way unique, but I had fun with it. So like, I wouldn't even call it a bad movie. Like, I didn't have a bad time watching it, you know?
There you go.
Yeah, so if you got something from it, and like, fair enough. Like, I wouldn't say The Room, because The Room is terrible, but it's fun because of how bad it is. But a film for me...
Actually disappointing, yeah.
Yeah, two films pop into my head. One film that I just think is terrible is Movie 43.
Okay.
You seen that?
I haven't seen it.
So bad. The whole concept is these guys find all these movies in like an old video store that got banned. And they watch them, and it's just, the whole thing is like all these sketches, like these bad movies, and they're like bad on purpose. It's that thing I just mentioned, like something being written bad on purpose is just bad. Like, it's not interesting. You know what I mean? And they have such huge stars in it, and eventually came out they apparently blackmailed a lot of them to be in it. Kate Winslet's in it, Hugh Jackman, Stephen Merchant, Halle Berry.
My God.
There's more in it, man. Jared Butler. The cast is huge. Look it up. It's bizarre. There's all this trivia about it that apparently they just kept asking them to be in it until they were eventually just like, these guys are not going to shut up as I do this movie, I'm just going to fucking do it. And it's just so bad, and it suffers even more because it has so many good stars in it, and just seeing them do their worst work. Yeah. Like the one that Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet is in is like Hugh Jackman... Kate Winslet goes on a date with a guy who like just seemed perfect online, but he has balls for a chin. Right. Like actual balls. Okay. So stupid. It's Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet. Like
South Park.
Yeah, literally. Two iconic actors. It's so bad. So that's up there. And the second one that comes to my head, which I saw in the cinema with our buddy Aoife actually, is The Exorcist Believer.
Right. I couldn't imagine it was good.
Oh my god, it was so bad. That was just disappointing because it's an official sequel to the classic movie from the 70s. Directed by David Gordon Green, who I thought did an amazing job with the Halloween trilogy. And brought back like an older version of Jamie Lee Curtis so well in those films. They did the same thing in this with Ellen Bernstein's character from The Exorcist and just butchered it completely. Such a shame. It just felt like, I don't know, it's like they were going through the motions. It felt like they didn't care. It was so unnecessary. It was dull and boring. There were these twists and turns throughout that are just so badly written. The acting in it for the most part is pretty terrible as well. Ellen Bernstein is also in her 90s. She's just like too old to be doing anything. You know what I mean? You could tell they got her to do as little as possible because she's too old. She's like sitting down for most of her scenes. She goes blind halfway through, so she just has to do everything lying in a hospital bed. It's really, really bad. It just disappointed me so much. So like, yeah, when I think bad movies, I think of stuff like that. Because I have fun with like most bad horrors, and I have fun with movies like The Room or even Food Fighters. So bad you can laugh at it, but like laughably bad is enjoyable. Movies like Movie 43 and The Exorcist Believer are just so bad that like it's painful to watch. The Exorcist Believer is boring, and that's the worst thing a movie can be, is boring.
Yeah.
Like The Room is like bad but interesting in how bad it is. But those examples I just gave are just dull movies. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting question to leave it on for sure. Very, very fun. But yeah, this is a very, very fun podcast. Welcome back, and let's just wrap it up, I guess. Thank you guys as always for listening, and yeah, we will see you real soon.
Ciao, ciao.